Good afternoon, students. Now we are on the topic of development of international relations. You all know that since the emergence of the new need and new consciousness to theories, international politics, in fact, the study of international relations, it has passed through many stages. Right. First of all, thank you for joining me today for this lecture. Kenneth W. Thompson. He has given the four stages as the development of international relations. The first stage, the first development stage is the diplomatic history, where there was more on attention, there was more focused on the study of history of diplomatic relations among nations. That means they have adopted a chronological and descriptive approach where no attempt was made on anything like current affairs or anything like international organization. They were all unknown about the fact. The second stage is of current affairs, where the scholars they have focused more on the current affairs like newspapers, periodicals, journals, etc. In fact, several scholars they come forward to emphasize on the interpretation of current developments and problems, and it's obviously at international level. The if we compare the first and the second stage, that means the diplomatic historical stage and the current affairs stage, there was a lack of integral view of international relations. That means both the stages they have failed to study the future of international relations because as such you are now aware that diplomatic history stage it was a stage when scholars they were mainly concerned about the past or the historical events. The second stage which was of current affairs, the scholars they were more focused on the newspapers, periodicals and journals, right? So they have neglected the future of international relations. Then comes the third stage, which was the legal institutional stage for the law and organization stage. This was the stage which involved an attempt to reform the nature and content of international relations, right? It was mainly adopted an idealistic approach which focused more on the attention upon the task of reforming international relations, and it's by international institutions or organizations. In fact, codification of international law, the rules, regulations, they were codified international law. The fourth stage, it can be studied in subparts. Like first part is you need to cool yourself first because as such now we are going to read about the subparts. The first part we have the post-war stage. It was a Second World War. That means after Second World War, you all know that it caused a havoc. There was a deterioration in international situation. It was, in fact, there was a dire need that new approaches must examine and explain the relations among nations. Then comes the impacts. That means the second thing. There was the deep changes produced by the Second World War, and it's like that we need to create something which is important. That means the development of international theories and how to implement those theories. Then they emphasize what shifted towards law and organization. As we started earlier too, that there was codification of law, and that was the reason that the scholars they were mainly focusing on the importance of international organizations. The major concern in this post war period, it was like there was motivating factors that can influence foreign policies. There were techniques which can conduct a foreign policies, and in fact, there was the modes of resolutions that we can have for international conflicts, right? So that means we have UNO, which can solve the international conflicts. The last, in fact, important thing is the behavioralism in international politics. What is it that after this period, after the Second World War, it was like there was a behavioral revolution in politics. The political scientists, they started learning, they started formulating new approaches and methods to the study of international politics, because as such now they have to concentrate on the new theories like Marxism, like feminism. So they need to first formulate what are the approaches which can implement the international relations effectively, right? So in the end, I want to convey you all that you need to highlight the features of what we have done. That means whatever you are having in your mind, right? And the doubts in your mind. I wish to know the critical outlook of our lecture. So, have a nice day. We'll meet soon with another topic.